Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Behind the Projector. Well, I made a first episode like Monday, and things didn't go too well with it. So today I'm going to be doing my review of Power Rangers once again. How fun for me having to redo a whole video because my other one got corrupted when I was trying to work on it. So, whoops. So, I guess today what we're going to work on is Power Rangers, of course. But there's some other things that I kind of left out in the last video anyway, so this is probably a good thing that I'm having to redo this. So bear with me for a little bit. Let's talk about the history of Power Rangers real quick before we actually talk about the current movie. Now this isn't much of a history of it, but mostly just why I like the show in general. When I was about 3 years old, Power Rangers came on the air, and I was one of the first viewers to ever see it. And to be honest, it was probably the goofiest show you ever seen in your whole life, because I've watched some of the old episodes before we saw the Power Ranger movie. And to be honest, it's just so goofy and weird, but at the same time, it's just so much fun. I guess it's that goofy and corniness that kind of draws you into it, even if it is just so weird at times. But Power Rangers did last for a good while, at least to me, because I know it's still on, but at the same time, my nostalgia for it kind of ended after the Zordon era from in space, you know? And after or during the Lost Galaxy series, that's when my memories of the show kind of end. So how do you go from this to the new movie? Well, the new movie is actually a reboot of the old series, so it kind of makes up for that, so I'm alright. But also, I did watch some of the later episodes and shows of Power Rangers, and I also, with the help of Linkara and his history of Power Rangers, which if you haven't seen, by the way, check it out. It is really phenomenal. I kind of missed out on some things during those shows. And because of him and his reviews of each of the seasons, I was able to watch some of the good ones that I thought were really fun, like Power Rangers Time Force, what is it? SPD and Lightspeed Rescue. That's what I was trying to think of. So, but I'm getting too far on myself. So, back when I was a little kid, Power Rangers the movie came out. And this was the original movie, the first movie. I saw it with my friend. Me and him were so excited. We were like, oh my gosh, it's Power Rangers. We gotta go see this. So we saw the movie. It was terrible. We were sadly disappointed by the movie. So even as a kid, I didn't like this movie very much. I liked it okay at first until you get to the CGI part, and then the Zords and everything was so terrible. It was bad. It was just bad. I then went on and we saw the fact that they are getting turbo powers. Now the turbo powers were unique because the way they got them was unlike the show's versions. They got them in a movie. It was canonical to the show. And it was unique. We were like, oh my gosh, it's a new Power Rangers movie. This is where things get weird for me. I know I'm kind of talking about the show right now, but I kind of I'm getting there. There's a point to this. I'll get there in a second. The thing about getting powers in Power Rangers, other than the first season where they just like, hey, here's some powers and your Zords, go beat up Rita. Unlike that, later on they actually had storylines that really made up how they got their powers, or for season 2's sake, just their Zords. In season 2, there was a power surge that destroyed I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead. That's the wrong one. That's season 3. In season 2, my bad, Zed destroys the old Zords. So to make sure that they still had Zords, they made new ones from the old ones, the Thunder Zords. In season 3, there was a power surge that destroyed their powers, and they got the ninja powers. And so they used those for a while until the end of season 3, where the power coins were destroyed. So to make up for the loss of their power coins, they got the Zeo Crystal and used that as their new power source. And thus, Power Ranger Zeo was created. This is where it gets confusing for the turbo powers, because the turbo powers just come out of nowhere, because nothing happened to the Zeo crystals at the end of Zeo. I mean, even during the movie, and everybody who's seen the reviews of it are going to say this with me, the Pink Ranger tried to transform into Zeo Ranger 1 and nothing happened. Especially since she fell in water. That's the weird part. It's like, wait, so they can't transform when they fall in water? That doesn't make sense. But, again, I'm kind of going off topic a little bit, but there's a reason why I brought that up. In each of the storyline, there was a progression of how the powers work and how everything goes. And so, in each time, we had some kind of progression that made sense for the powers to be continued. I mean, at the end of Turbo, the powers are completely destroyed. And so they went to space, in space, and they got the new powers from the new Red Ranger. So with that and said, you would think a careful progression of how the powers work will be part of any storyline, other than the movie, or the second movie. But I thought they would have been really careful about the second movie, but of course they didn't. After analyzing the first movie, it was just so popular. So the point I'm trying to come across is there are changes, and if things change, you got to make a storyline out of it, or at least have it where stuff makes sense, so that way the progression of the story will make sense. Power Rangers the movie has that, but at the same time doesn't have that. How does that work? Well, let me describe what's going on here. Spoiler alert, there are spoilers, in case you didn't see that in the comments down below yet. When we saw Power Rangers the movie, the progression of how they get the powers was cool. I liked the idea. However, there were some things I did not like about when they got the powers. But let's start with something else, actually. I'm going to start somewhere else, and we'll work our way back here for a second. Let's start with the characters real quick. We have the original gang again. Jason, Trini, Kimberly, Zach, and Billy. Out of all those characters, by the way, I'm going to say right now, Billy was my favorite character. He was the most fun out of the original 5. And I had a blast watching him. He had the funniest lines. He had the funniest character. I really enjoyed him. He was a really cool character. He was a really good character. I really liked that. Zach was probably my second favorite. He was more brash. He was kind of brash. He was arrogant. He was he kind of tended to do things out of line without thinking things through properly. In fact, one of the scenes, he actually takes the mammoth sword, or the mastodons, or whatever you want to call it, and takes it on a joyride, and he crashes through the cave and nearly kills the other team members. They get really, really mad at him and start punching him and stuff. It was, even though that kind of helped with the progression of the story, there were some things about that I didn't like and some things I did like, but we'll get to that in a second. Jason was just your basic leader. Okay. I honestly, when I watched the movie, I tried my best to analyze his character, other than the fact there was a really messed up joke at the very beginning with him milking a male cow. Other than that, I liked his character well enough. Don't get me wrong. The character was fine. I especially liked the actor. He was a really good. He really played his part really well. Actually, all the actors and actresses played their parts so well. They were really, really good in their parts. I really enjoyed them. However, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about the last three as much. Kimberly's character had the weirdest thing. She was in detention, and everyone thinks, and they all say, "Oh, you punched your ex-boyfriend," and I was sitting there thinking, I guess she did that in front of the principal or something. Because how does that affect her being in detention, other than she did it at school? And I was thinking, well, even then, you would usually just get suspended or something. So how does this affect you, or how does it affect her so much? Then you find out the real reason why she's in detention, and it's a little disturbing. I won't lie. I was disturbed by it. I don't know, was it just me, or was anybody else really disturbed by the fact that she was in detention because she took a nude photo of her best friend? Yeah. I'm letting that sink in for a minute. By the way, it does not show it, but that's what is implied in the movie. So it's kind of really weird. I think that's a little too close to home at times. And I bet you're wondering, well, what do you mean by that? Well, it's just, I don't know, it's just so weird that they would put that in a movie. And I understand they're trying to make it more realistic, and they're trying to make it seem that way, but I think that's a little too much, if you know what I mean. I don't think we need this type of thing in the movie, but I'm gonna let it go. I'm just gonna move on. Trini, last one, because I can't really. I'm still trying to think of something for Jason right now, other than him being the leader of the group. Although I did like when he did fight Zordon about the powers, but we'll get to Zordon here in a second. Trini, I'm sorry, what? She doesn't like her life because her parents are too normal. Or at least that's what she says in the movie. That's what she says, people. Here's the thing. Her mom is over the top. Her dad is way too close to home. Or too down to earth, if you want to say. What? That was one thing I didn't get about Trini. Trini's character was just there. She wasn't bad. Like I said, she wasn't a bad actress. I really liked her actress. Her character was just there. Not really much to her. Although I did like the running joke about her being called Dee Dee instead of Trini. I thought that was pretty funny. Alright, so what about Alpha and Zordon? What about them? Were they any good? Alpha was actually really cool. I actually did like his character pretty well. He was a lot more fighting prowess than his predecessor. Although his IIIs were forced both times. And you could totally tell it was just there for fan service. Zordon, on the other hand, no. I do not like him. And the hate spam begins. Okay, let me clarify it. In the original show, Zordon was more of a mentor. He was there to help teach the teens about how to use their powers properly, but also guide them in the way, sage wisdom and stuff. And this, however, he's just using them to regaining himself. And I know it's character growth and development, blah blah blah, hard the cards. However, here's the problem with it, is that it comes off as a jerk. And I know that's what they were aiming for, probably, but I don't like it. Especially since this is the guy that we're supposed to be looking towards for a mentor look. And when he's sitting there being a jerk the whole time, I can't help but sit there and go, oh my god, I wish you were a floating head in the tube instead of a wall. Your arrogance is a jerk, is really making me mad, and I'm getting irritated at you. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, this is bull crap. Rita, on the other hand, I just want to go ahead and get this one out of the way. Elizabeth Banks as Rita is awesome. I had so much fun watching Rita. Especially at times when she was going over the top and killing people. That was the fun part. And not only that, the way she portrays Rita is just great. I had so much fun watching her just being Rita. I can't help. It's just the way she was. She was just so much fun. I really did enjoy her character. And good job, Elizabeth Banks. That was great. So, I got our main characters out of the way. Side characters are there too, but there's not much to say about them other than them all being jerks to the Rangers. Although, I do have one thing to say. When I saw the bully, I thought he was going to be Bulk. Nope. No Bulk. Just some random kid who's a bully. That's it. I kind of find that a little disappointing, really. If you're going to make a movie, especially about a show from 1990s about kids in spandex punching the crap out of things, you would think they would put in Bulk or Skull or both. It would have been an awesome throwback. Just saying. Okay, so what about I bet you're wondering, what about the movie itself? The story, let's go to the story plot. Was it any good? It was good. I liked it. It had a really good development. It really focused on the characters, which isn't seen very well in movies lately. You know, most movies just want to show you the action scenes and kind of develop the characters around those things. But in this movie, the characters are actually really well developed. They actually go from what they were at the very beginning, and they change throughout the whole movie to fit the tone of it. That it's all about teamwork, and I like that. It was actually really well done. The pacing was really well. There were of course the jokes worked and everything, and then of course you also had the thing about them morphing. This is where I'm going to start complaining a bit. Now, I'm not nitpicking, people. I want to point this out now. I'm not nitpicking. But I prefer certain things. You know what I mean? It's like when you watch, like, let's say, Speed Racer, the movie. Okay, let's just go with that one for right now, because that's the best one I can think of. When you watch Speed Racer, the movie, there are a lot of things about it that were good, and there were things that were bad. And if you were a fan of Speed Racer, you may have find more problems with that movie because you see the old show and you're like, oh, I like this. And then you see the new movie and you're like, oh, I don't really like that as much because it doesn't do this, or this. And of course, you may be kind of nitpicking, but it's because your nostalgia of the show varies from movie to show, you know? If you see one thing first and then you see a new thing about it and it's not as true to the show as you might think, then of course you're going to be all complaining about it. I'm no different. I saw the show, then I see this movie, and then there are things that I'm not going to like about it. It's just a natural progression. So, what is it I don't like? I don't like the coins. I'm going to let that one. So if you're wondering why, here's the thing. They don't really do much. Yeah. I'm just saying that now. They don't do much. But there were scenes of them able to do things because of the coins and blah blah blah. True. But here's the thing. In the show, the power coins were what they used to transform into the Power Rangers. In this, it just gives them their colors, their powers. That's it. Whether they're the things that help transform them into the Power Rangers, I don't know. Because they talk about the morphing grid, which is cool. But again, I think that was forced in there. I think my main problem is the fact that when they do the powers, the coins don't really do much outside of just giving them the powers, their colors, and that's it. If they had done more with the coins, kind of describe what the coins were, other than the fact that they were stuck in some rock because of Zordon way back when, I would have been more okay with them. It's like something else that happens in the movie, which we'll get into. The powers themselves, like the armor, I thought that was cool that in this movie that instead of just being a suit, it's an armor, which is a plus for me. However, I am still a fan of the spandex look, so I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like these. I'm not going to say that. But I'm not like the biggest fan of them either. But they were still cool armor. I really liked them for the most part. They were kind of unique in their own way, and they were interesting. Although I don't like that they were able to show their faces. Especially since during the Zord fight, they just leave them down. So, like, they're sitting in their cockpits looking out towards people, and I'm thinking, okay, surely someone sees these or one of their kids, right? Who could see it? This is Billy or Zach or... No? No one? Huh. Interesting. Anyways. Sorry, I'm just thinking about this. I'm trying to think of what the best way I could put this. The command center. Let me put this one out of the way. Don't like it. Only because they don't show much of it. Now, I'm not going to say the show showed a whole lot of the command center, blah, blah, blah. Because, first of all, in the original show, the command center probably had a low budget. Since they were trying to keep things simple for the first season. But at least they tried to give it a look of a command center. The console, Zordon and his tube, the viewing globe, stuff like that. It kind of gave it a feel that this was truly command center. In the movie, though, it was just a room with a wall of Zordon, them standing on their little circle thing next to the morphing grid. And then you had a panel and the training room. That's it. To me, it just felt kind of underwhelming. Would have preferred more stuff to kind of give me more of a feel of the command center. But it was just kind of there, and I was just like, it's okay, but it's not a command center. Although I do like some of the lines when they get there. And I was also kind of disappointed there wasn't teleporting. Because there were scenes where they were injured or something, and then they wake up and it's morning and they're in their own homes and beds. And you could say, well, if they could have been dreaming. Well, the fact is, in one of the scenes, it shows the car that they were driving was crashed. So, what happened? How did they get there? Never explained. I would have said it was the teleporting, but what teleporting? They never teleport anywhere. They run everywhere they go in the movie. it was like it was like one of the seasons of Power Rangers I can't think of right now. There was one season I'm trying to think of at the moment where all they do is run. Oh, Megaforce, that's it. In Megaforce, they teleport one time in the whole show. And then the rest of the time, they're running everywhere. It's like, you could teleport, right? Is that just a new concept to you guys or something? At least the original Rangers utilized the teleporting. But again, in the movie, it's never explained how they got home. It's never explained. I would think, okay, well, maybe Alpha might have picked them up and took them home or something. I mean, it would have been something to explain how they got there. Nope, never explained. It's just, oh, we're awake and we're home. Yay! There's things that are explained, and then there are things that are not explained in this movie. Like, they do explain about the Zords. Like, I did like that part where he says, during the time the Zords were created, dinosaurs ruled the world, and thus they took the form of the dinosaurs. Okay, that's cool. That explains things. The Zeo Crystal is explained, but is never really utilized. Yes, I said that. Let me explain. Rita throughout the whole movie is trying to summon Goldar, which I would have made a character deal for him, but all it is just gold formed into a giant thing with wings. It is not Goldar. Goldar from the show was a flying monkey. This is not Goldar. And yes, the forced make my monster grow. Just wow. Wow. That's all I gotta say about that. Wow. So, the Zeo Crystal during the fight with Goldar. They find the Zeo Crystal at one thing that is mentioned so often that you wonder why they bothered, because it must have been their only product placement, so they had to make sure they got their money's worth out of it. Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme, Krispy Kreme. Krispy Krispy Kreme. Elizabeth Banks eating Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme. Yeah, it was Krispy Kreme. They found it underneath a Krispy Kreme. And as many times as I'm saying it, that is literally how many times they say Krispy Kreme in the movie about Krispy Kreme. So, they find the Zeo Crystal underneath the establishment of a Krispy Kreme. Nothing happens. There's this impending doom about Rita getting to the crystal first. But nothing happens. The crystal just disappears. Completely. It's never mentioned again. They never tell you what they did with the crystal. They never say what happened to the crystal. Did it get fused with the Zord at the end of the movie? I don't know. It just disappears. I have nothing to say about that, because I just don't know what to say. The Zeo Crystal was made into this big thing. It was the whole movie, and nothing is explained about it afterwards. It's just gone. So what do you do with that? I don't know. I just really don't know. So I do want to talk about the Zords real quick, because I know people are kind of wondering what my opinion is on the Zords. I like them. They're really cool. They're really unique in their own way. They were different. However, I don't like the fact that the Mastodon Zord didn't look much of a Mastodon Zord. I don't know. It just didn't look the same to me. But I do like the Megazord, although I didn't like the sequence of the transforming into the Megazord, because you don't get to see the transformation. that kind of bugged me. I don't know why. I just thought I was looking forward to the transformation, see how all the Zords fit together. Because that was the cool thing about the old shows, that you could see how all the Zords formed together to make a Megazord. And this, they just fall into a pit with the Zeo Crystal. Then all of a sudden they're back up and they're the Megazord. And I'm like, oh, come on! I wanted to see that. Although it was still a pretty cool Megazord. I will admit that. I especially like that each of the Rangers were like, one was on each shoulder, one was the legs, and then you had Jason as the leader in the middle. And I thought that was kind of cool because everybody had to use, different. They all had to work together to move the Megazord, move each limb. It was really cool. I like that idea. It was really unique in its own way. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to complain about, but there's really not that much to complain about, really. It's actually a really decent movie for the most part. There are some weird stuff and clunkiness, like the fact, during the middle of their first fight, which is at the end of the movie rather than, in the middle, which I'm just saying it would have been better, because then you could have showed the teens, not morphed and fighting, which would have been a really good plus, other than the fact they were training like that. I thought it was really cool that they used the Go-Go Power Rangers when the Zords were taken off. However, I would have preferred it if the song had gone during the fighting and into the Megazord fight. But you take what you get, right? So all in all, was it a bad movie? Not at all. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. There were a lot of things I didn't like about it, but there were a lot of things to like about it. And there were plenty of jokes, and character development was really well done and really, really worked for the movie. And like I said, the Zord fight was really, really fun. I actually liked that they got to show off the individual Zords fighting as well as the Megazords. So that was a really good plus. I really liked it. So, all in all, I'll give this movie about a 7 out of 10. It's a really good movie. So if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. If you haven't been spoiled too much on my own video. Which I didn't spoil a whole lot as I did the first time. So, take what you can get, right? Well, I guess that's it for today. So, this is Cloud Serious Sheet telling you, join me next time behind the projector.